What do you think?
Science!
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's a brand new day.
Good morning!
Now prepare to experience the most outrageous man on radio.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Brilliant!
Okay.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
This is insane.
You bet.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's Wednesday, hump day. But, we got halfway through the week. Work week. Faster than one would think. The intro worked okay. Here we are. Anybody curious about the weather? Let's check the weather. You want to?
Weekend weather!
Yeah, well, it's not the weekend, but according to this, it's 52 degrees outside. It changes, and it's not really. I wouldn't take this forecast to the bank. It's through an app. Here's what's happening, though, according to I guess I don't know where they pull this from, the Weather Channel, or I don't think it's NOAA weather. I used to put the NOAA weather maps up, but, I think people were too confused by that. Anyway, it's a 50% chance of thunderstorms today, but the high, I'm in the mid-Atlantic states, it's going to be 73 degrees. And yes, my eyes aren't fully open yet. The overnight's going to be 59 degrees. Thursday is going to be a 40% chance of thunderstorms, which means it'll probably will rain tomorrow. It's just the way this thing goes. 64 for the high, 37 for the low. It's going to get a little chilly. I mean, possibility of a frost, probably. I'm not worried because I have burlap over my lettuce seeds and my radicchio. Friday's supposed to be sunny, 64, the overnight 48. It's going to be a beautiful day. In my backyard, that's 64 degrees back, and you can see on the title card that lounge chair where I sit next to my mini greenhouse. It'll be 80 back there. And that greenhouse fan will be on like full swing. Saturday looks like 40% chance of rain, 57. But then Saturday and Sunday, the reason I did weekend weather here is that it's not looking too good. Overnights, both Saturday and Sunday Saturday below freezing, Fahrenheit and Celsius, obviously. And Sunday, 32 degrees. So 0 Celsius, 32 degrees, freezing Fahrenheit. Like what the? Right? So enjoy today. Actually, enjoy right up to Friday. Everybody's going to be shorts. Girls are going to be showing skin. That's always a nice thing. Anyway.
Weekend weather!
Yeah, weekend weather's looking bad. Anyway, that's that. And in case you didn't know.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
And I've got my coffee here. Hot coffee in the morning show mug. For 2 days in a row, I was able to put this little fragment of a pill that's supposed to be an appetite, some kind of pill to make the cat have his appetite. And he did eat and use the litter box yesterday, for those following this saga. But this morning, he wouldn't eat the pill. Like, I wrapped it in one of these greenies things that are supposed like salmon flavored and stuff. So with something on my finger, I washed my hands before I did it. So I ended up instead giving him like the shot thing in the mouth, which just traumatized him, and he ran and hid. But he's got fresh water and fresh food sprinkled with some kind of something for his microbiome that has some kind of beef liver flavor to it. So all I'm hoping is that after the show, he's in better condition than he was yesterday. Because yesterday he looked like he was on his last leg, and I mean, and he, not even being able to use his legs, type of thing. But then by the end of the day, he was almost back to normal. So I don't know if it's these these. I give him an antibiotic in the mouth around 1:00. I just gave him this one. I usually would have given this to him after the show, but since he didn't take his other pill, there's food and fresh water up there. He's going to hang out up there unless we see him, emerge down here, which would be nice. But biologically, he seems to be functioning, as a feline. The question is where he is. So,
hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking at this title card that I put up and that you all can see. And I'm realizing that, the way the two-dimensional thing, and I have easy living on there like that. Was that a Uriah Heep song? Easy Living? It's called Easy Living. Next to you could see my chair. And in that spot, and that greenhouse will go up to 100 degrees. I mean, it gets hot. And you have to look. I'll enlarge this because this photo is easily enlargeable. You see next to the word easy, there's a fan. That's hooked up to a solar panel, little mini solar panel on top of the roof of that mini greenhouse. And there's, inside you can see I have things growing. You could also see the ghost image of me in the background of all of this. And there's my chair where I sit. And I see I've got some weeds between the word over to the right of the word living and my chair. I got to pull those. And some of that foam, stuff from last year that's turned brown, I've got to saw that off and refill that area and paint it white so it looks good. But it's not a bad greenhouse. I'll give it some, linseed oil treatment. That's what I've been doing mainly. The lower part I've painted just with the brown exterior paint because it's just particle board. But this other wood I've been putting linseed oil on, and inside too, to preserve it, and it's all natural, and since it's around no really bad VOCs that I'm aware of come out of that. It's like boil. One of them. I got this stuff. Hardware store was not going out of business, going out of selling that kind of stuff. And so I was able to get that stuff really cheap because they were the tops of the cans and stuff were kind of rusted or whatever. It was weird. Anyway, that's that. And while we're showing these things, I might as well show you my garden from yesterday. This is a bit fluorescent. I'm going to bring this up on top to the foreground. I guess I have a filter on here left over from something different. And that's kind of making this thing look a little weirdly, oddly fluorescent. But if it doesn't particularly bother you, let's not worry about the fluorescence. It's just something. You could see the mini Christmas tree there in the back, and next to the left of the Christmas tree is that was supposed to be my third apple tree, planted around the same time as my other apple trees, which I've shown you before, and you'll see before, all along the springtime. I mean, those things, one of them was getting up to be 14, 16 feet. I had to trim it down. You got to prune your fruit trees in order to get. I didn't know that, actually. I probably would have had apples last year if I'd been pruning all along. But anyway, this tiny little thing to the left that I have the cage around, and you could see to the left of that a little hunk of concrete. That's like a patched hole where I had a rodent coming through. And you know what? I hadn't seen a rodent in about 2 days since I did the last patching further up the yard. But last night before I went to sleep, I look out my second floor back window. Two rodents, the same two rodents. So I think I have just enough concrete left. I hope I have enough to put another patch in this new hole that they've developed. But anyway, in the foreground, you can see two different kinds of kale plants, and they look like they're growing pretty good. And that plastic thing that looks like it's that actually, I put that to cover them over, to keep birds and other things on top of that. Because within the next 2 weeks, I'll probably be pulling leaves off of those things and putting them in salads. And I'm going to plant another kale crop. But anyway, this is just one tiny fragment of my garden, and I just wanted to show you that because I talked about it yesterday, and the idea that, growing food is pretty easy. That, just to go back to this for a second, the kale plant, the upper kale plant, not the one with like the, kind of crinkly leaves, but the one with the flatter leaves. That one I started growing like in the house in like January from a seed, just from a seed. And then I transplanted it outside, and it's been through frosts and stuff, and it's growing now. Yesterday was a sunny day. We'll have a couple days this week, and the sun won't hurt kale. And I've had things in that greenhouse when it's got down to freezing, even though it's not heated. I do have a heat pad in there because that's where I will do some seed starts as soon as I get some seed starter. And I found out I'm out of chard. So I planted lettuce, but I'm out of chard. Now, I know that some people aren't interested in that, but they're like...
After he's stalked, we must get rid of him immediately.
Oh, man, I shouldn't laugh. I mean, oh, God, I'm tired. The cat, I'm trying my best. Woke me up a couple of times. But I didn't get roll out of bed till 3-ish. I really need cement. I even have this cement, a note. Concrete repair, cement all, which apparently is a brand, and then mortar mix. Because I have to fix my front stairs. And then I need to keep plugging these holes, whack-a-mole. Eventually, the entire passageway into my backyard from the neighbor whose nest of rats, 2 rats that could probably a couple, which means we're on the verge of having like 10. Only takes them 21 days to be ready to like reproduce again, too. Pretty weird. Weird stuff to talk about on, But, I don't know. I got no live listeners right now anyway, so I guess what does it really matter? Let's just talk about the stuff that the people who do watch this show care about. It's really strange. The numbers, I've seen numbers where I've gone from like having 33 viewers, and then it just goes down to 2 or 3. And then I wonder if the 2 or 3 are just me. But when I was doing videos before, I've had videos that reached 1,000, in the 1,000. So, I don't know. It's a game that's being played. But why do I do these? Why do I do the things I do? And I guess it's like that has to do with the title of today's show. Easy living. Just give me the simple life. I put a thing in the chat. Just live life, take it day at a time with all the struggles and hardships thrown at us. Pick yourself up and start all over again. It's like from some song. Just pick yourself up Start all over again. I was thinking right before I got in the air, all the goofy things I've done on this show, right? The characters I've played, the voices, the insanity. I'm not in that, animated mood right now. I mean, who knows where I'll be 30 minutes from now, but we'll see what happens. Anyway. I thought I'd push myself on this. And again, those following me, and, I always,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
for somebody just tunes in, this is just vlog stuff. But I thought I'd push myself because I've been dealing with avoiding this. I did not want to have a gallbladder operation, which, that would turn people off if there was anybody watching live. And so I thought I'd push myself, and I ordered some, low half the fat ice cream. I got it delivered, and I realized that when they, low fat usually means they put high sugar in it. This stuff had like 33 grams of sugar, and there was caramel in it. Oh my God! Which is just basically, as far as I know, is like melted sugar. Sugar, like kind of on the. And I thought, okay, I'm going to weigh myself this morning, and I'm going to be up like 3 pounds. And I did walk to the grocery store yesterday, and I was out in the backyard, but I didn't do much out back. But basically, I stayed the same, almost lost a pound. So, I don't know. I guess it was vanilla. So, and my stomach was upset, though, after I ate it. And last night the side, I don't know if it was the gallbladder or whatever, I had some little bit of pain there for a while I was going to, trying to go to sleep or watch TV before I did. This is today's clip, talk to your non-fans, and, it's called multitasking, and clip your nails on live on TV.
Really funny. Really funny.
Yeah, I know. It's,
This is insane.
So, like I say, if you're into these shows and you want to share these with people, I'm taking a whole different tact. I'm taking them in a new direction this spring. I gave you as much information as possible on those 4 shows, and I'll try to put them into a category of catastrophism or something, where I talked about the AI buried under the ground and all that stuff. And then I've done my, socioeconomic geopolitics stuff. And of course, I've been trying to deal with this. But, and then I've basically was a straight shooter about the corporatocracy and how this is the former United States. It's hardly a constitutional republic. And that how the World Economic Forum is an organized crime syndicate. All the truths about big pharma, big tech, big ag, the war profiteers, the war, basically, the war manufacturing industry, what Eisenhower referred to as the military-industrial complex. Why not listen to it?
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
Well, it's not a matter of existing, will exist. It's a matter of it exists, and it has persisted. And this poor guy was taken out because he went up against it. And that's why that guy, Save America guy, is really, even if there was a chance that he would get back in, it's so, first of all, amazing how people forget, that the abuse that he went through and how everything he did was like, it's like that was a Bob Marley's song. Every time I plant a seed, he'd kill it before it grew, right? I shot the sheriff type of thing or something like that. Every time I plant a seed, he killed it before it grew. Well, that's what they did to, Orange Man, right? Impeached the guy twice. I mean, why don't you get it? It's like they'll impeach him 3 times. This guy in office right now doesn't even know his name. He does. Did you see like the speeches this week? He's like, see, I predicted this. In other words, those Walter Reed Army Hospital doctors, are giving them all this experimental stuff and pumping them with dopamine and all kinds of weird stuff, steroids. But the body develops, gets to a point where those things no longer work. And so they're pumping him up with stuff and it's just not working. He's getting there in front of the podium. And it's like, the one I saw covered on like Sky News that had a clip up of something he did within the past day or two. It was like such gibberish. Somehow he managed to get the word prostitute in the speech. I mean, what? But it's not funny. Like I said, I've had this is a brutally honest show. I mean, who else would trim their nails on national TV? But no, in all seriousness, my father had Alzheimer's and ultimately died of a stroke complications of that horrendous disease. And the idea, there's 2 things that I'm upset about with this Biden situation. Is one, that they obviously have treatments and are giving him experimental treatments because he's,
Did you accidentally inject yourself with some kind of psychotropic agent?
No, the doctors at Walter Reed did. The White House doctors. But what I'm saying is that he's getting stuff that we don't get. Right? And so we should be upset about that to begin with. Yeah, I'm filing, it's like that. Speaking of that Elvis Costello thing, which we'll play that one more time. But he had that one line in that song, Watching the Detectives or something. That's why I'm shaking. I'm filing my nails as they're dragging the lake. Remember that line? She's watching the detectives. That kind of thing. Elvis Costello, that was around New Wave. That was a pretty good era in the U.S. music-wise. He was like the master of like the 2-minute song or something like that, But they were they were totally condensed stories in like 2 minutes. Like his songs really were like, right to the point, got something across to you. Like I say, I apologize if this offends you that I do that kind of stuff like this. But it had to be done. I have no live viewers. And, it was bothering me. So what the heck? This is the thing.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
It's not that bad.
The future. He came from the future.
I know. But one of the other things about this picture, this morning show title card, is just the way the easy living type is, and and it goes to the edge of this mini greenhouse which I built. I built that thing for about $50, which just goes to show the cost of materials, how they've increased. I don't know how many years old this is now. 4 years old or something. I don't know. But 2x4s were like 88 cents or something. You get a 2x4 for 88 cents for $1.29. And then I got like 2 sheets of that plastic stuff, and some nails. I mean, and some of these screws, the kind of screws that have the rubber gasket on them. Those rubber gaskets eventually rot out. But I mean, I don't care. It's a greenhouse. I don't care if it leaks. Water. Hopefully tomorrow's show I'll show you, or I don't know, it might be a future show because it's in case it rains. I don't want to put it out yet, but I have 2 water catchment systems, and behind this greenhouse, I made it yesterday. Part of it, I still have to finish it up. In fact, I have to make a note here because I need to take one of my old screens. Get screen. I got like one of these 3 or 5 gallon buckets, but this one's not like the classic thing, the roundish kind. It's kind of squarish. I don't know what it's from. I think I got it from this guy, friend of mine, who has a pizza shop, and mushrooms come in that. Fresh mushrooms come in these containers. But whatever the case may be, originally when I came to this place, I had, there were plumbing issues. I had to hook up a washer and dryer. There were things that just needed pipes, you had electric, you had to have an electrician in, a plumber in, that kind of stuff. And so I changed, there were some problems with the spigot going to the backyard for the hose. And so they swapped that out, and they gave me the old one, which did work, but it was just a real old-fashioned one. And they were changing the pipe and the fixture anyway, so they wanted to put one of those new ones that are just like you just turn it, like that, on, off. So I took to save the old one. That's the old turn, you turn the water on crank thing. And so I put that on the bottom of this container, this water container. And I have an overflow on the top. And then I have to attach a screen to it, so no bugs get in there or particles that come off the roof. And I have the drain, the area where the gutter comes down, should be this one, open so that it opens up and the water comes off the roof and goes into this thing. And so then I just turn this thing, put the watering can and fill a watering can, and that's what I use inside the mini greenhouse. Now I have a larger one on the right-hand side, which I'll wash my hands with, but I'll also fill a bigger watering can, and I'll use rainwater to water my plants. And so sometimes if we're getting in the summertime, see, rain for me is like one of these, it's good and bad. It's like, as a gardener, I would wish it would rain, it'd be sunny in the afternoon and rain every night type of deal. That's how it was when I lived down in Florida and the Gulf Coast for a while. It seemed to be a thunderstorm every day at like 5 o'clock. But it would just be this quick thing, and then you'd still have a sunset over the Gulf Coast and stuff. But the days would be nice, and I could walk. I was only a couple blocks from the beach. I'd walk down the beach a lot. A lot of people down there didn't do it. I told that story before. They had some of these high-rise, condos along the beach, the Gulf Coast, and with beautiful white sand beaches in front of them, and they all had balconies. And I'd go down the beach and I'd look over there and I wouldn't see a single person on a balcony, and I wouldn't see anybody in front of those buildings on the beach. And I'm going like, what's the purpose of getting a condo? And I was down the full, over the 4 seasons down there. Because, they have people they call snowbirds. People have summer places. So they go down to Florida when it's cold up north. No, it didn't matter what season it was. It's like they were just inside. So I don't know what. I mean, I was really confusing to me, but their parking lots were filled. And it wasn't like it would have been, I mean, I'm sure they were a lot of mostly retirees type of, but I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, these things were like condo hotels, 30 stories, I don't know, tall. Weird. Maybe different now. That was 20 years ago. I'm sorry. 30 years ago, I was in LA. So that's part and parcel of what I'm trying to get at with this show, easy living. And, I think I had a title of a show once, Take Some Time for Living. It was like based on an association song. And the other idea is just give me the simple life. And it's like, look, nobody's life is more complex and struggle than mine. Okay? Cancer operation, cancer survivor, knock on wood, kidney operations, doctors telling you they want to take your gallbladder out, a cat that's been your companion for well over a decade or more, who his health is touch and go. Rodents coming in my yard from a neighbor when my garden is one of like my pride and joy and the thing I really love, and I have been eating from. Oh, by the way, leaning on the wood in front of the mini Christmas tree, that's like a dwarf tree. That's not going anywhere. And as far as I know, that's a dwarf apple tree. I don't think that's going anywhere. That's why I put them there. They had to be somewhere. The apple tree I had in the lawn, and it was just getting in the way because it just wouldn't grow. And I had special fertilizer on it. At one time I put those spike things in, made specially for fruit trees. You put them like 3 feet out or something to nourish the soil. I put the dirt soil around it, which was special soil for trees and shrubs. I did everything I could, watered it, and that's all you get. But anyway, below that Christmas tree that looks like it's leaning for some reason. I don't know if that's just the way the picture is. I'll have to support it in case it is. There's stinging nettle. He's the stuff that's leaning over the wood board just to, above the kale, below the mini Christmas tree. See that? That's stinging nettle. I have a ton of that. It's one of the healthiest herbs that grows naturally in North America. It's like a weed to people. But if you brush up against it, it stings like a bee. Like Muhammad Ali used to say. Stings like a bee. But there's two things. There's many things you can take away from this. One, apparently for people who have like serious joint pains, like even arthritis or other types of pain in areas, if you take those you wear a glove. But for them, it would be painful at first, apparently, and you put that, say their knuckles, say they have a hand and they can't bend their knuckles, or some people get joint pain so bad, right? If you put the stinging nettle, rub it there and let it sting those joints, they're in so much pain that the stinging part isn't probably going to feel. What happens is, like 5 minutes later, they'll be doing this because there's some chemical in that in these like stingers, so to speak. But anyway, you can dry this stuff up and make a tea from it, or you can boil it or steam it like spinach. And it has, as an herb that grows wild, and it grows wild. If you let it go, it'll go like 6 feet tall. It's insane. Last year, it got totally out of control because I let my garden get out of control. That's why I'm doing all this work right now, because I'm trying to a lot of this stuff I'm doing is I'm still cleaning up from last year's fiasco. I just, towards the end of I got a good harvest last year, but I didn't do my clean up all the mess I should have. Fall cleanup. I really should have had everything cleaned up. So that's what I've been doing, and I will probably be doing that today, more of it, continuing. Especially those unsightly things. I have to make a note of that too. Gets green. Cut foam from greenhouse. And then maybe paint it white. Maybe if I could saw it smooth, fill in the gaps with some caulk. Maybe I'll just paint it white just to match the fence and stuff. It's going to be 75 degrees. I just hope we don't. There goes the coal trucks, as usual. I just hope we don't get rain today. What did I say that the possibility was? It's 50%. But it's going to be 73 degrees and 59 in the overnight. So if it didn't rain, this would be a perfect day to paint. But tomorrow night, it's going to be 37 degrees. It's weird. But that's spring in the mid-Atlantic states, East of the Ohio Valley, nowhere near the shoreline, but not in the Northeast, basically just down here in the mid-Atlantic. So that temperature, that forecast, anybody on the eastern part of the U.S., it's probably going to be if we're lucky, it'll be fairly decent. I didn't look at the radar, I guess we could look at the radar. You want to look at the radar? Display capture has actually been on all along. New window. NOAA satellite imagery goes. Let's look at this one. See if this takes us there. CONUS. Let's look in motion. True. Here's one based on water vapor. So there you can see 13 April. It looks like there might be some stuff coming towards the mid-Atlantic states. It's in the Midwest, kind of in the Midwest now, heading east. I'm not worried so much about that big blob up by the Great Lakes. I'm worried about the one down at the bottom. Let's look at a different one. Let's look at, say, let's see what this is. This is a neat one. We used to show this on the show every day. This shows the city lights. See, and this is an actual satellite. Your taxpayer dollars pay for this. And so what you're seeing is all those lights are all the city lights, street lights and whatnot, the populated areas. But this gives you a better picture of those clouds heading east. And I guess those blue clouds, would be an example. Let's see if it tells us here specifically. Lighted areas shown in nighttime images are not real-time depictions of city lights. The layers is derived from a compilation of day-night images and is included for orientation purposes. Okay, so that's not exactly the lights that are on at this particular time necessarily, is what they're saying. It's a composite. At night, the blue colors represent liquid water clouds such as fog and stratus, while gray, white indicate higher ice clouds, and the city lights come from a static database. Okay. Okay. So the blue is, once again, liquid water. So if you're looking at this, you can see that the northern, parts of upstate New York and northern Pennsylvania have got some blue on it. And then it's fairly light clouds, ice, or cool clouds. So I don't know. So maybe we'll be okay here in the Mid-Atlantic, as long, it almost looks like when it gets to the end, it thins out. Do you see that? Interesting stuff. Display capture. The morning show, man, we go through it all, See, that's the whole thing I try to say, is that you want to see it first person. I don't want some weather man, weather woman, right, telling me something, because all this stuff is your taxpayer dollars pay for it, and you could go right to the horse's mouth, so to speak, and get it. So, I mean, those satellite images were like it's 5:11 right now, later than I thought. But those that motion was put together probably around, the time you might have seen on the bottom is based on universal time, international dateline type of stuff. So in reality, if it was 9-ish or getting into late 9, I don't know what the difference is between us and them now over there. But it was probably 3 a.m. when that composite was put together. But the wind patterns, the cloud patterns and the motion is real, was taken from the NOAA satellite. So it doesn't look like anything's going to happen right away. My hope is that if something does happen, I don't want anything to happen, because I'd like to put some paint. 75 degrees. Do you realize when I'm sitting in that chair in the lower right hand of the screen, because that's completely south facing, when the sun hits that area, if it's 73 degrees outside, it'll be like 88 degrees. The greenhouse will hit 100 degrees inside. That's why I have a fan on there, which is controlled by a good use of a little mini solar panel, which was more powerful than that fan needed. I had to actually buy a step-down transformer because it was pushing 40 watts, and that thing is couldn't hack what needed to be like 12 volts. And it's still pushing like 15, but the motor can take it, I think. So you have to understand, and that's one thing a lot of people don't know about. Look at these trucks. People don't know about fans and solar power or stored power, like the Jackery thing behind me that I often talk about. And you could get a great solar stuff. The thing that's controlling the on-air light, right? Look at those muscles. That thing, those things, they last. You hook a fan up to that, it'll last you you could run it for like an hour a day or a couple hours a day for like a week or two or so. And charging those things with whether it's a solar panel or from your car or, just keep, like I don't have it plugged in now because this light uses nothing. That's LEDs. And even when I had the Christmas lights on and that little guy back there, the droid, the 3D vision droid, next to my broken morning show mug, ceramic mug. But it's still at 99%. Not weird? They don't use much. And the things have a life's expectancy of at least 10 years or so or more. So I mean, everybody should have one. The power sometime in the next decade or so, your power is going to go out and you should have one of these things, and it should be charged and ready to go. And, if the fit hits the shan, you should maybe have just a mini cheapo solar panel. So in the daytime, you can just, what they call trickle charge it. You don't have to have some solar array. Like I said, I got this tiny little solar panel I paid like $59 for. And I had to get something called a step-down transformer because it was giving too much juice. And it's DC to DC. That's a DC fan. So I don't have any charge controller or any kind of weird inverters or anything like that. I just have like an alligator clip basically coming from the solar panel that's clipped into where the fan was, because the fan had was battery operable. And it had an AC adapter, which was basically inverter AC to DC. Solar's DC, okay? Direct current for someone who's never paid attention in school. You got that?
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to talk about today, is just easy living, the good life. Just give me the good life. Give me the simple life. The world's too crazy for you to be sitting around. I mean, watching cable news and getting caught up and being afraid of World War III or something. There's no way to live. Like I said before, man, it's like if an asteroid hit. If it happens, it happens. You won't even know. You're like, wow, bang, right? Better way of doing that. Let's see. Wow. That's it. It's over. You don't know. It's like those guys who drew the petroglyphs on the rocks. They were seeing these weird plasma discharges and stuff because the sun was about ready to wipe out, most life on the planet Earth. And they were carving what they saw, and they somehow got in these caves, and maybe the AI ant people saved them. You have to look into that. Watch my shows, those 4 shows that I did covering that. I really should spend the time editing and put this stuff together, but my life is too complicated, right? If it rains, like I went up yesterday to get some because I was building this rain catchment system, and I know I had some 100% silicone up. I've got all kinds of sealants up in the attic because of the leakage. And so I wanted to go up there and grab this silicone because I wanted to put that around, as I screwed in this thing. I put plumber's tape on it, but I also wanted to put silicone around the seal, just to doubly seal it, because you have water pressure, even though it's only maybe 3 gallon. I don't know. Like I say, I'm not sure how many gallons that thing is, but it's enough to water the type of plant for that mini greenhouse, which is a kind of a cool thing that I built. I had no plans for that. There's a video, I think, of me building that. available where I say build a greenhouse for $50 or something, and I show the materials. But, and it's evolved over time, but, and I put a shelf, that red thing on the upper left-hand side, that's like a little plastic shelf. It's the top of a litter box thing. Looks a little warped, but it should be fine. It's plastic. So I could put a plant on top of that, plants below it. Like I say, this is southern exposure. So from the morning till sunset, the sun just comes right, all the way across. So you get, maximum amount of sun. Now there's a fence and a house next door, and then on a doctor's office on the other side. So it's not like you're getting, if the sun, 12 hours exactly of sunlight, but you're getting close to it, I mean, a good 8 hours of sun is ample for a garden, but I probably get at least 10 hours of sunlight. If it's one of those days where the sun comes out right in the morning, the garden area closest to the greenhouse, and that chair by like 10:30, 11 o'clock, you could sit there in that chair and bake. I like to go out in the morning when the sun comes out. I like to go out around 10 o'clock. The sun's out. It's already warm back there. And, just do minding your garden type of thing, work, doing things. If I have to, I have a push mower to mow the lawn. Someone gave me a portable electric chargeable one, and it died. So it's another thing taking up space in my garage. I got this stuff in the garage. I need a dumpster's worth of stuff. It's very annoying. But I have a push mower. So I just, cause it's, no power, no nothing. You just push it, the old fashioned thing. Put a little oil on it, once a year or something. I don't know. It seems to work fine. Plus it's a workout, kind of a semi-workout. Your arms are pushing, and your legs, your body. You're probably using more muscles than you realize when you use a push mower. So it's a decent little it's a mini workout. Do that, and you're bending over, picking up maybe some weeds and stuff. So you're getting that back, bending down, then crouching down, doing other stuff, gardening work. You work out in the garden for like a couple hours, you get it's enough of a workout, and then, then you just relax and lay down and, soak up some vitamin D, and grab usually by the summer, I'm like, if somebody sees me, they think, did you just come back from the shore or, or something like it looks like I was out on the beach. And that's another one of those things where I was talking about grills and how your backyard grill is more than something for hot dogs, hamburgers, or steaks or whatever. How you could cook soup, salad. You could fry eggs in the morning on there, I mean, and you don't have to use charcoal. You could just use, boxes from Amazon packages and sticks and twigs, right, from things that, pruned you have growing in your backyard, just bushes, right? Save that stuff. Just make sure it doesn't end up being a nest for something, in fact, I have a whole stack of stuff that's on the ground right now. And that's my other project. I have to raise that from the ground. I need concrete, man. I wish somebody would, gift me like a dozen bags of quick set concrete you know, and some mortar and some bonding agent, concrete bonding agent, because I got to fix my stairs. These trucks, those coal trucks going by, I have concrete steps that go up to my porch. You know, that's what this camera 2 is, the view from my porch, and you could see that it's raised up. Well, the steps coming up to that are just in pitiful shape. It's like a concrete stairwell. But this is the worst year ever, the truck traffic, because of all the construction out there. I mean, couple of the steps are like offset like that much. You know. So I've got to grind down. I've got to shore up, that kind of thing. Because underneath a set of concrete steps, it's just like any other step. There's no support. It's the concrete slab. So I have to strengthen that slab. I don't want the thing caving in on somebody. I mean, I haven't felt anything shaky walking on it, but it's a job. You got to cement it. You got to grind it, cement it, use concrete patch for the holes, seal it, support it, and then you paint. Then you do this thing where you take mortar, concrete adhesive, and water, and you mix it into the consistency of paint, and you get this weird brush, and you paint it on, and it looks like it's a brand new thing, and it'll last all summer long into the fall. And it won't start deteriorating until the winter, when it's like freezes and thaws, and you put rock salt on it and stuff, and then you have to pick yourself up and start all over again. But I don't mind doing stuff like that. It's just tasks. It's like the garden. It's like, give me the simple life. And that's the whole thing. It's easy living. I work on my garden. It gives me food, right? So I mean, I could have, once my lettuce grows, I take lettuce, kale. Once the chard comes in, I have herbs growing. I basically, the first part of the summer, it's mainly green salads, with, maybe some other things that I might have to pick up at the supermarket. Broccoli, for example. I'm going to plant broccoli this year, though. I haven't had luck with broccoli. But then by the end of July, then I've got tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and maybe lucky a broccoli, squash. Squash is weird. I've had years where I just didn't grow any zucchini, summer squash, or any kind of squash. And then I had years where I had so many that I was taking, and it would rain and I wouldn't notice one, and suddenly there'd be one like this big. I kid you not. I think I've shown it on shows. And I take a bag of them over to the doctor's office, where they have about, 4 or 5 nurses, plus the doctor. And I take, it's a woman doctor. She likes to make zucchini bread, or something. She told me once. And I take a bag of shopping bag of 5 of those giant zucchinis over to the doctor's office. Then there's a hardware store across the street, and I take that woman a couple. And I used to give them to my next door neighbor till she turned into, a hoarder, witch, burning plastic and styrofoam in her yard, and now having a rat's nest. Look at that train. While I was talking, there was just a train of coal trucks to fire, to fuel those Tesla vehicles. But yeah, give me the simple life, keep yourself fit by, tending your garden and your house. I mean, it's not great, this roof problem, like I say, I've got troubles. I've got problems. It's a struggle of life, He's like, nobody out there could I know what it's like to, have operations, to be in the hospital, to have problems. And then to top it off, to have to deal with those problems, health issues, while you're worried about your roof leaking into your bedroom, your cat, hoping your cat's not going to die, right? And dealing with pests, rodents, and bugs coming over from a neighbor who's a hoarder. So that's another thing I got to shore up. I got to get this like concrete sealer so that all the cracks along the side of my house that face her house, I've got to like make sure all those cracks are sealed up and stuff, so no bugs or anything can like find its way into my house. Because I don't want to use pesticides. I have a garden. I don't want anything washing down into the ground surface. Especially when you're growing things like apples and zucchinis and tomatoes and cucumbers. These things are mostly water. The greens don't matter so much because, it's leafy stuff. But I have grapevines too, and that's like, so that's pulling all that water from the ground. And so you want that water to be clean and filtered through the soil, so to speak. And you don't want any pesticides or weed killers in that. So I guess one of the side benefits of me having to like play whack-a-mole with these rodents, that I'm going to be doing that today, filling the hole, is eventually I'll have concrete barrier all the way across. It's not like these things that I have closest to that side. There's a path that goes down the center of my concrete path that goes down the center of my lawn, backyard, so that a lot of that separates my apple trees, where I grow tomatoes, peppers, and zucchinis. It separates that area from the other side, and that concrete goes down quite a bit. So I'm not so much worried about that side. It's a thing on the other side. That's why I have leafy things growing mostly on the side facing well, not that. I guess I took the time travel. That was that CIA thing, man. I can't believe that. Yeah. This is crazy.
The future. He came from the future. And so do I.
But you said that he wasn't human, that he was some other kind of being.
Another world and another time.
Yeah, I don't know. Since I'm just clowning around, it's like I'm clowning around live. I wonder if I bass boost this clip, if that will help. Because there's just something about this Elvis Costello clip that just doesn't sound, it sounds just like, there's just too much noise in there, and I don't really have an audio editing program on this old computer. So all I have is an equalizer. So that was like bass booster. I was on loudness before. I tried vocal booster and that didn't work. Let's try vocal booster again and see what that sounds like. No, that's like just too. Small speakers. Let's see what that does. Does that sound better? It's a little bit cleaner, you know what I mean? Maybe. We'll try one more time. Small speakers versus, let's just look at rock. What if it was just rock? I didn't really notice the difference between small speakers or not, you know. So anyway, I guess so. The theme of this show, just sticking with it, and this is just a flow of consciousness show. I do these often, where it's like, I don't really get in. I'm not trying to drive something seriously down your throat. It's my life, your life. Let's talk about life, living, our existence. And kind of like to pick up on that, like, psychologist I was talking about yesterday, which I think his name was like Dr. Vaughn or something like that, or something weird like that. I forgot to write it down. I did see something else popped up yesterday when I was viewing, and I forgot to write it down because the cat was on my lap. And it was like, it was the first of the entire day where he wasn't like hiding, and I didn't want to like move, and scare him away. I wanted him to relax and purr and just, have some comfort. But anyway, that guy was talking, he was apparently this doctor who I will eventually, I'll just go through my history up there and I will turn you on to him. But he was talking about different signs of depression and different things like that. And, the importance is, there's a lot of depressed people in this country. And, the media, and these people on YouTube that are pundits that basically, sit there and just take the media stories and then just like talk about them because they have no reporters of their own, right? And they think bringing on a guest who's also been somebody from the media or a guest of the media, it's like, no, it's got to be firsthand stuff, right? And they don't do it. They don't get it. They don't get it. But, so they're spreading depression. This is depressing. War, people watching war and talking about war, other people talking about war and famine, like I got into yesterday, that depresses a lot of people. And they're doing it for profit. That's the sad part about it, is because most of these, I'm not, like I say every day, I'm not monetized. That YouTube thing in the background there is an object dart. That's me making fun of them. In case you've never heard me say it before. It says presented to Tony Caravan Live for exceeding 3 views. What do you guys think of that? Where are you guys here still or not? Did I lose you guys? I lost them. There they are.
Really funny. Really funny.
At least those guys get it. I don't know. So, yeah, and if you don't like that,
go ahead and shoot. You'll be doing me a favor.
Bring back the old stuff,
Hello. Hello. Hello.
So, yeah, that's it, and that ties.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
It ties into that because, yeah, they're scaring people, this fear-mongering stuff that, that's going on. It's like, first of all, like I always say, a true disaster, of a magnitude beyond anything we can do something about shouldn't even be on your mind, really. Because in other words, it's if you have no say in the matter, right? And it's something that's going to happen in an instant, then so be it. What are you worried about? It's like people with phobias. it's this idea. Well, if I go out, there's all these possible things I could get, the new germs and this thing. And it's like, yeah, there are millions. It's like ridiculous amount of millions of lightning strikes each year. We looked that up once on the show, I mean, let's do it again just for the sake of it, because I forgot the number, but I know it's an absolute ridiculous amount, Number of lightning strikes per year. Lightning strikes the United States, 20 million times per year. And they're about 30,000 times faster than a bullet. Thunder is the result of rapid heating and expansion of air caused by a lightning flash. Okay? There are 20 million lightning strikes a year. Do you grasp that? Okay? 20 million a year. Yeah, and people wonder why there's forest fires. And they say, oh, this is man-made global. It's like, no, there's like lightning striking these things. It's like bad forest management, man. These things get out of control. But I mean, if you have some phobia, I'm not going out 20 million. I just gave somebody a phobia or something. 20 million lightning strikes a year, 30,000 times faster than a bullet. I'm not going outside of my house. Well, guess what? Conceivably, your house, could get struck. 20 million lightning strikes. Weird things happen. There's been guys sitting in their chair watching TV, and a meteor came right down through their roof onto the floor next to them. It's happened. People have gone out, heard a bang, and looked in the trunk of their car, and a little meteor, just something you could hold in the size of your hand, went through their trunk of their car. It's weird stuff happens. And it's the same, and I hate to compare these, these natural, however existential, events that could have the potential to be deadly and cause problems, compare them to these, incursions, civil wars, and all of this conflicts going on around the world. But, it's the same thing, right? You can't sit there and be in fear of World War III or like droid AI gonna take over. Like I said, more than likely you are AI, the descendants of AI. The human body is the most efficient machine out there and the most logical course that AI would take. AI is not going to create machines on a planet that is basically has flora and fauna. You're going to create an efficient life form in which you can implant your AI or, exist on using simplicity, efficiency, right? And the fuels, and to be able to navigate on the planet that, that this AI exists on. People just don't think about that. Watch those shows. I mean, I think I laid out a pretty good case. It's just that there's a lot of this nonsense that I normally speak on my vlog, since it is my vlog, a morning show, so that, you have to put up with my stories. It's payment. It's like Edith Keeler in that Star Trek episode. It's like the one guy said to Captain Kirk, now, when Edith Keeler went on stage, now you got to pay for your meal. And like I always say, never let a good Star Trek reference go to waste. See what we got here. Hey, Scotty, you remember that one? Were you involved in that? Was that just Bones? That was just mainly Bones. because he got that, that shot that turned him into a madman. And then Spock came down and Kirk was there on a planet, Edith Keeler. That's one of the classic shows. And Scotty was on the was there. And so he was like, "You've barely been gone. You've barely been gone a few minutes." Anyway, Scotty out. Star Trek. I don't know. Maybe I should watch a Star Trek marathon later today when I'm done my garden stuff. I just hope it doesn't rain. Please. At least I know it's not supposed to rain. It's going to be cloudy, though, till like 9 a.m. 4% chance of rain. I can't get an extended forecast from this thing, which really sucks. I mean, it wants to bring up my other browser, which better not, knock me off the internet. Let's see, hourly. Percentages, excuse me. Scattered thunderstorms, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. At least the overnight's not supposed to be. But see, that's it. Excuse me. So there's a possibility if I go out at 10 a.m., there'll be some sun. 10, 11. It would be a nice time to paint. But if there's scattered thunderstorms and we have some for 3 hours from 2, 3 to 4, that's what they're saying. That would be totally uncool. I don't know if you saw that or not. No, I don't think you did because the delay would have shown up. That's just my forecast. See, that's just my luck. But that's not bad. See, the worst is when it does it at night. If it does it during the day, before I, take my shower or get into bed and relax for the night, then I could go upstairs and change out the, dump the water out the window, use my siphon pump, and any leaks I can, do that. Like I say, my life, and I've got to give the cat another one of those in the mouth, an antibiotic, this one is, but I usually don't give that till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I come in from the outside, or noonish. But he's got fresh food, fresh water. He's got this treat that has this appetite thing, that pill that's supposed to increase his appetite, and I've got it wrapped in this salmon little greenies treat. But if he doesn't eat that thing, then I've got this thing that's some kind of pill thing you force a pill in the cat's mouth with, which, man, I looked at it this morning. I don't even know how to use it. I'm not a medical professional, and there's 4, 5, 6, 7 things I got to do a day. It's like a nurse functions. I'm doing the best I can because I care for the animal. But I'm telling you, it's real puzzling, and the veterinarians throw this on you. It's just you wonder, why can't they just give him a shot? It's like his antibiotic stuff. There's some people they can, when you go in the hospital, like I was in the hospital multiple times. This show's educational. You might, these are firsthand experiences. I'm not pretending I'm a medical professional. But it's they gave me shots of antivirals and antibiotics pre-op, and it was just once and done. When they were wheeling me into the pre-op room, one of the nurses who was wheeling me in on the gurney, into this staging area, till it's your turn, right, to go to anesthesiology or whatever. she said, she looked at my chart. She said, well, she was like, wow. I still remember it. She goes, wow, man, the stuff they gave you, you could eat off the floor of the operating room and it wouldn't bother you. Right? That stuck with me. And she was taken aback by it, whatever they gave me. And I felt normal. I mean, I didn't, no difference. But it's like, they have all that kind of stuff. It's like these antibiotics, which I know they overuse antibiotics in this country. But even when you have a tooth problem or something like that, and you get these 10-day regimens where you got to take this pill 10 days, or whatever, and some is a week or whatever. They have some that are 3-day pills, but they have pills that are like 1 day, and like in a hospital, they have like a shot, I think, or something. I don't know. It's like that antiviral pill they promised us in January. Remember in December? Am I the only one that remembers them like making us think about it? And it was Pfizer or somebody like that was going to be released, had a pill that was approved, and it would they said mid-January it'll be coming out. And somehow they just like buried that story. So that apparently Pfizer had developed some antiviral pill, I guess because the other things that you weren't allowed to talk about, the ones that, became generic, that people were taking and having somewhat success with or whatever. And again, don't do anything without talking to your doctor. So that was like a big story then, and it was starting to become, you were able to talk about it because people in the White House and prominent people had been taking it, like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, had taken these various things, Tim Pool, these guys. And the press secretary for Biden, she was like, came down with it, but then suddenly 3 days later, she was back at the podium while other people are hospitalized, right? And so, they were thinking, oh man, we better, we got to fess up. So let's just put out our version of it, because at least we can charge, $50 or $100 a pill for it. And we'll just, we just rearrange the chemistry of it so that it, we can have a patent on it. That's what it's all about with big pharma, is patents. The patent wars. Big tech's like that too. But somehow, I guess the story got, and this is where I blame these YouTube people and so they stopped talking about it. And so I guess Pfizer or whoever, whatever corporation said, hey, nobody's talking about it. So let's just like let it fade into the background, because we can make way more on this. We can make hundreds of billions on, on the sixth, thing. But like I say, and that's another one of those fear things, and people live in this life. It's like you can't allow yourself to be a victim of these people that make money on scaring you and trying to create new phobias. Things are going to happen. And, and you have to look at it. So look at me, easy living. But I told you, my life is an open book, and it's a struggle, But still, I try to, at some point, if the sun comes out, I do my, try to eat healthy and keep active. And take a break and sit on the chair and soak up some sun. And you can't see from this picture, but I've got 2 speakers so that like are in stereo. So when I angle that chair a little bit towards, I guess, the left from your vantage point, that it's like stereo, the stereo sounds, my head's in between the two speakers, these outdoor speakers. And I'm listening to music, laying in the sun. It's like I could be at some 5-star hotel resort, right? Poolside. And I've got that fountain. I think I showed that. You know, I have a fountain with one of those solar things that I sell on that great solar stuff. These things, I want to show you that just for the sake of it. I'm not trying to sell you something here. At least when I've been to this site long enough, it comes up right away. This is great solar stuff that I talk about. And there's the Jackery, the thing I have in the back. And you see those motion detector security lights? I have them. They work great, man. They work great all winter long. You know, they just require light to charge them. It doesn't have to be full sunlight. This is the one I have. So you can see these things, you know, you buy different versions of them. You could plug things in, like literally something you would plug in. And, you know, this one shows you, and like here's USB things you could plug in. And this input's like the charger. This would be something like from a car, you know, charger. There's my NOAA radio, and that'll emergency charge your phone, and you could charge that from your house. The same with this one. This is I don't have this one. I'm going to get it. This is the king of them all. I advise you get that one. Solar Christmas lights are out on my front porch, but this is what I'm talking about, the solar fountain. Let's make sure it's still available. Yeah, $15.99. I have this little pond in my backyard, and I have that in there. And that's working. You know, it's great. It's freaking great, man. Anyway. So I sit there and, you know, I'm laying in the sun, closing my eyes. I'm at this 5-star resort, you know, hotel with the sound of this fountain on the water on, you know, splashing down, fountain, waterfall, whatever. Sun, getting a suntan, vitamin D3. Listen to some birds chirping because I have a bird feeder. You know, take advantage of those moments, the little moments in life. It doesn't matter how. Don't tell me your life is that miserable. You see? Because I know what it's like. You know? I'm still dealing with it, you know, with the struggle of life. Life is a struggle for most people. Some people are really lucky and they're just happy-go-lucky, you know. They do whatever they want to. And the ruling elite, it's like the politicians and stuff. And even when they have some kind of hardship, they got access to some Army Reed Hospital doctors or Johns Hopkins, you know, whatever. Mayo, go to the Mayo, check into the Mayo Clinic for like 2 weeks and get like their, you know, it's like checking in the Jiffy Lube, right? They get everything checked out and all lubed and fixed, and you know, and then 2 weeks later they emerge and they, you know, and they live to be 100 years old, right? And they're eating ice cream. I ate ice cream yesterday, and I was upset, and I thought, oh no, man, I hope I didn't like just negate everything I've done for the past 120 days, you know, because I've been eating like a real, you know, anti-gallstone diet. That's why I drink coffee. That's like part of that thing, you know, good thing. But you got to avoid carbs and sugars, and that's one of the biggest problems. And I was, like I said, and I do mention it, I said I'd mention it every show, so I will. You know, remember, there are 40,000 people a week dying in the U.S. of most things that are mostly preventable. You know, and a lot of those things are basically diet-oriented. And it doesn't take a medical professional to tell you that. It's just it's on websites. It's on government.gov websites. But there's this hypocrisy out there. and you TV viewers, you know it because you see the lawsuit commercials on TV. But people who have obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart problems, and all these kinds of issues, they're all caused mostly by dietary and lifestyle. You could change things, and they're not telling you that. So they put these labels on these boxes and these packaged processed foods, and it's like that ice cream I read yesterday. It said half the fat of regular ice cream. It said on it, like low fat, half the fat or something, right? Vanilla ice cream, 33 grams of sugar, right? Let's look. This show is kind of a weird show, but it's an educational show, so let's just do it. New window. How many teaspoons in a gram of sugar? Somebody look this up. So how much exactly is a gram of sugar? 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar equals 4 grams of sugar. 1 teaspoon, 4 grams. So if I take my calculator and say 33 grams divided by, that's 8.25. 16 grams of sugar in a product is equal to 4 teaspoons of granulated sugar. Yeah. 8 grams. So basically, yesterday, right, having this low-fat ice cream that the FDA obviously approved, Food and Drug Administration approves this kind of stuff and is labeling, right? They decided, this stuff. So it says low fat. So you imagine somebody, some person, who's got, who's at, the doctor says, you're pre-diabetic. Now, I've seen doctors say there's no such thing as pre-diabetic. If you're pre-diabetic, you're basically diabetic. But say you go with that, because people say that now. So you go to your doctor, and your doctor says, you're overweight, which is another word for being obese, right? Because if you went by the charts of like body mass and stuff, it's like we'd all weigh nothing. You know what I mean? But so you're overweight and you're pre-diabetic. That's what your doctor tells you and says you need to exercise, right? And reduce, reduce fat, and, they may say reduce sugar too. But you've got to exercise and get your body weight, lose some weight. And so this person goes into the store because, they want a treat. They want some ice cream, and they go, okay, well, I'm not going to buy the Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia anymore, or this stuff with chocolate, mint chocolate chip, and all these crazy flavors they make. The humans go, I need that. Boy, that sounds good, right? And so instead they buy this low-fat, all-natural, that's another one, right? They buy a low-fat, all-natural, non-GMO, no added ingredients, right, thing, right? Sometimes it says no added sugars on the front, which is scary, right? But sometimes it might not say that, but it'd be like low fat, half the fat of regular ice cream, all natural, non-GMO, right? So this poor person came from the doctor, and they figure, well, okay, well, I better start cutting down and eating some low-fat foods and cut out the stuff. And so they buy that thing I had yesterday. And they don't read the side of the label, the small print. Anybody over the age of 40, like I say, these are reading glasses. I don't wear these normally. I don't wear these to watch TV or walk around, do my garden work. I only wear these from reading small print. I wouldn't be able to like see this.
Brilliant!
To click on that if I couldn't, didn't have these on. So people don't, people who don't wear glasses, they know their reading glasses on when they're just eating dinner. In the grocery store, I always forget to take them with me. So it's like that really annoys me because I want to read the labels. So the person comes from the doctors and they're going, well, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy some healthy vegetables, and okay, I'm going to get that half the fat, non-GMO, all natural ice cream instead of that other stuff. Vanilla bean, natural vanilla bean, right? Half the fat. And other stuff like that, right? Something that says gluten-free, this, that, the other, high fiber, right? So they buy all this stuff, so-called health food, stuff that says organic on it. That's another one. The threshold for organic by the FDA is like pitiful. So you come home, and I know because this happened to me. I was eating cereal for breakfast for the longest time. And I was using like some kind of coconut milk, coconut almond type of stuff that was an imitation milk or something. It was pretty good. Anyway, but I started looking at the box of cereal, and it was high carbs and sugars. I don't want to name brands because I don't want to get against people, but they were common brands and stuff. And you're thinking, oh my God, you couldn't imagine 44 grams of carbs, 28 grams of carbs, 18 grams of sugar. But this ice cream stuff, it was like 30 grams of sugar, but it was half the fat. Fat doesn't matter. Your body digests fat. A lot of, that's the whole idea of, the word might offend some people, but bile, that's what bile does. Bile dissolves fat and takes the vitamins out. There are a lot of vitamins are fat soluble. I've learned that from dealing with this gallstone thing. But you know what I mean? That's the kind of education, and that's why 40,000 people a week die because of things like that, more or less, So when your doctor tells you something like that, like, say, hey, you're pre-diabetic, you need to exercise and lose some weight or whatever, don't just walk out, go shake your head and walk out the door. We'll say, hey, doc, what should I eat? Right? And sometimes in these waiting rooms, they have these charts on there, and they have a chart. It's like when you go to the hospital. I was in the heart hospital one time, the first time, this was 10 years ago or something. My heart was like, thought it was AFib or like whatever. I was scared to death. That was like the first time, I had to deal with something weird. I'm in there for like a heart problem, right? In like the heart ward. And they bring out around the food, right? Feed you. And there's like meat and some kind of dessert, sugary dessert, some kind of meat. And it was completely a non-heart healthy diet served in a heart ward. See what I mean? Even the medical community is like, it's warped. What are they trying to do? Kill me? I just left. I'm like, I don't want that. So yeah, you ask your doctor, you say, hey, well, what should I eat? And if they point to some chart, you say, hey, wait, that doesn't sound right. I don't, how am I going to lose weight on a high carb, high sugar diet? That's like another doctor was talking about, they recommend like hydration and water and electrolytes and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, that's important for you. But they said, watch out for it. Read the label and watch out. They sneak sugars in those things. And the thing about it, you may say, well, I don't want to worry about sugar. I'm active and I have good weight. Sugar's not good for you, man. Sugar's not good for you. It's not natural. All right. I mean, they say all natural, like it's from nature, but it is, but it's not natural for the human animal to consume. Okay. It's like orange juice. People drink a glass of orange juice and they think, oh, I'm getting my vitamin C and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're drinking a bunch of sugar. People put sugar. This coffee I'm drinking black. People put sugar and then creamer and stuff in their coffee, or they go to these chain stores and get this cafe latte with a special whatever mixed in with it. They're basically poisoning themselves. That's why I say this generation now, I call them. People born in the year 2000, somebody who's 22 years old. Imagine that. If you were born in 2000. If you were born in 1995, right? You're like 27 years old. That's a good year. That's the year you should get married and have a kid that year. It's a good age. It's a good age to raise a family, right? Or it's a good age to just be alive, right? Women are at their kind of head into their sexual peak. They're messing with me on YouTube. I'm getting a freeze up thing. You may or may not be able to see this, but I guess I said something that they didn't like. It's spinning. Though my kilobytes per second and my 30 frames per second broadcast. That was weird. I have no idea. I can't keep looking over there. Man, it's annoying. But anyway, the people born 1995 and later, are going to be lucky if they make it to age 50. Forget about the near Earth, extinction events and catastrophes. I'm talking about just because of the diet, the processed food diet, because that's, in other words, and that parents raise their children, even if you were born in 1990 and you're in your 30s or even, see, the reason there are a lot of old people in nursing homes or managed care facilities or long-term care facilities or independent living communities, they call them, all these weird things they have. Anything to just take your money and overcharge, people. Make you sign over your property and everything. But the reason those people are living to be in their 90s in many cases is you have to remember that the first 40 or 50 years of their life, they were really eating natural food. And they were living active lives. In other words, they were, it's like when I grew up, you get down on your hands and knees and scrub the kitchen floor, right? We had a coal furnace in my house, so I had to shovel coal into the coal bin and take out the ashes every week, You had chores to do, right? You walk to school, right? Every day. Every day. I walked to school. It was like a 2 mile, it must have been at least 2 miles. Had to be. And you walked in the wintertime. People don't realize that. That's an old joke that people say, but it's a truth for people, up to a point. That's what you did. There was nobody on our street. We didn't get a school bus. You walked to school. I mean, if it was some ridiculous storm or something outrageous, my dad would give us a ride. But he had a printing business and he had to go to work, so a lot of times he was already at work by the time, he was in there early or something. But yeah, if it was ridiculous outside, he'd give us a ride. It was pouring down rain. But even a drizzle, it would be take your umbrella, right? You'd walk to school with an umbrella. And some people would say, oh, that's cruel. No, it wasn't cruel about it. Everybody did. The whole street. Where I grew up, there was a lot of kids. And, as you would go and get closer to the school, you just see more and more, like people, kids, all walking to school. So, whether you were a child in in those days or an adult, you were eating, and we'd sit down for dinner and you would be eating natural food. It wasn't like some frozen. I don't think we had a microwave until I was like, out of high school. I don't think my parents bought a microwave until out of high school. I remember there being a microwave in the house. I think maybe when I came back from college, they finally had a microwave. Or there might have been one there, but whatever, we weren't having microwave dinners. It was used to, like, I don't know. My mother used it to heat up her coffee or something, reheat her coffee or something. Maybe some kind of thing. So it was just basically cooked, you basically had a cooked, prepared meal. And so that's why those people lived. But so you got a generation of people now that are basically, were brought up on these processed foods, GMO type things were inside this. They put the pesticide in the seed so they don't have to weed. It's all approved by the FDA, but then you look on TV and then they've got these weed killers and bug killers, and there's all these lawsuits on TV about them, and but they're still on the shelves. I say this all the time, but I think it's important, to stress this stuff. And even though
this is a nightmare, it must be a nightmare.
Even though that's the way it's presented, and even I've just got into a tad of that. What I want to stick to the topic of the show is saying, just give me the simple life. Take it day at a time. You've got struggles and hardships. You just got to pick yourself up, brush yourself off. I think that's the real line, and start all over again. Reinvent yourself any day you want to. And, once you get through the hardships, sit in the sun or whatever your thing is that gives you joy, happiness, peace of mind, that kind of thing. You got to find time to do that. And even if you could only do it once a week or so, you've got to have that. And you cannot get into this stuff. Like, there are some people, I guess, that watch this stuff so they feel, it's like people used to be with sports scores. Sports has lost a lot of its following over the years. But there used to be some people who weren't really sports fans, but they would watch sports and these sports shows, recap shows, so that they could talk to the other guys at the bar or at the water cooler or at work or something. And they'd be able to spout off some stats, know who some MVP guy was, or what what the team top 10, college, top 10, top 20 type of thing, or, all that stuff. And people do that now with the news, and that's sad. It's sad enough that there's people that actually watch this night after night. It's not news. It's just fear mongering. It's something going on in another part of the world. And there are more people dying here in the United States from processed foods than are dying from these things that are happening on the other side of the world. Should you be compassionate, concerned? Yeah, we have empathy. But see, I have empathy for people who are living under unbearable conditions in South America or in Africa, the continent of Africa, which is the biggest continent. Remember, we talked about the Mercator map. I showed you that the countries up north aren't nearly as big as you think. Russia's like only this big, but it's looks on the map like it's that big. Greenland looks like it's this big, but in reality, it's like that big, Like I was saying, Randall Carlson, that spot where you thought the comet, that asteroid hit, it doesn't even exist because Greenland's only this big, and you thought it, whatever. Western United States, even the U.S. is small. Alaska is like this big, but it looks like it's that big, right? It's just the way things are. Everything you know is wrong, and that's what I'm saying. You don't know what you don't know, and that's what these shirts are all about. And you guys missed out on the 15% off. Nobody bought them. I didn't, because I get a notification if somebody buys a shirt or a hat or whatever. Game over, man. I've given you everything on this show. I've presented over probably 500 shows now. I presented everything you need, from hints on health tips, dietary tips, right? Pantry, what to put in your pantry, gardening, things that are happening. I've talked about the truth about socioeconomic geopolitics, tested these devices to power down situations or storms when the grid goes down, even if it's just temporary. I've got these shirts with these slogans and these things that are very inexpensive, that could just maybe help change people's minds or wake people up. They see a shirt. What do you mean everything you know is wrong? What do you mean you don't know what you don't know? Then what? ? What are you talking about? But no one seems to be interested, in YouTube Studio, Google organization, Alphabet, whomever is hiding this show. I look at my channel and I see views of 3, 2, 5. And a couple of those views are usually me because I watch my show back on my smart TV, my Fire TV, and I think that records it as a separate view. And when I share this, I have to go onto YouTube on my other browser. I'm using Chrome for this, but I use this Safari. I'm still using the Safari Technology Preview, I like that browser. And I think that shows as a view. So when there's 2 views on my show, first of all, there's nobody watching right now. 0 concurrent viewers. I'm looking at my stats. 0 chat rate and view 0. So I've been on for almost 2 hours. Nobody even just checked this out. How's that possible? Right? 2 billion active users on YouTube, and there's got to be at least 1 billion awake or on now, right? And not even one check this. That means I'm invisible. And so sometimes there's 2 views, and that means that it was me, because when I go on to share, I have to go on to YouTube this video when it's after the fact, and click share, and the video's playing while I'm not, and then I share it, and I put the link on like a half dozen sites maybe, in hope that somebody there will view it. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Now, how's that possible? And the amount of, and some of the firsthand stories that I've told here, and the anecdotes, and just the life advice and business advice from, all the businesses I've been involved in and experiences I've had, all that kind of stuff. And yet people are watching some YouTube millionaires, people who are monetized, who make their main living day in, day out by, instead of like putting a picture of like how you could, build a cheap greenhouse in your backyard and enjoy and get vitamin D. And I have a live camera showing that your car electric is really running on coal. Right? You see my lights flashing there? Those are the lights I showed you, the solar Christmas lights. They flash like that right at the end at sunrise. Isn't that neat? I think we saw the end of it. No, there was one more. Anyway, like I said, just live life, easy living. There's a struggle of life. You could do it, get through it. If I could do it with cancer and multiple operations and leaky roofs and rodents in my backyard and bugs and a crazy neighbor and, struggling I live at the poverty level, by the way. And still manage to do all of these things and produce my own food and just keep, somehow keep my head above water. You can do it too. And the secret is, and life will, what's helped me is just turning off, cancel your cable TV. You don't need it. You could get a 1995 hookup to your TV to get over-the-air digital broadcast. You'll probably, unless you're really in some weird place, you'll pick up at least one station. If you're in a city, you'll pick up a ton of them for free. But like here, I get like 4 channels. And, if I have a TV on the wall, that if I want to turn it on, if I had to, an emergency situation, and I could hook it up to this power pack thing behind me, right, that I showed you on my website, this Jackery thing, okay? I could hook that TV up to it and I could watch TV because it's an LED, it's an Energy Star appliance. I could sit there and watch that for an hour if I want to know what's like some event happened, what's going on, the power's out, nobody's talking, Yeah, I just plug it into that thing, And after they figure out what's going on, I go into my bar room and plug in my little mini music amplifier, which should be able. Where is that thing? Where'd it go? I don't know if this will reach without causing a disaster. I could take my mini music amplifier, which basically uses next to no electricity but is powerful, and is plugged into my Bose speakers in my bar. And I could sit down there and have a couple of beers, listening to some loud music for a couple hours, and I still have power. Then I could grab that thing here, this Jackery, put the light on it. You see it. And carry it upstairs and have a light, on, up in my bedroom, and listen to something there, or put a multi-adapter on it, and because chances are maybe my modem would still be working, because that's just a wire coming from them. They might have backup power, and I could just check out stuff on Wi-Fi. Anyway, that's it, Good morning. As I say every day, thanks for watching. Visit ROCKFLUX.com, bookmark the site, share this, like it, subscribe, do all that stuff. All my stuff's also on Rumble the day after. Visit Great Solar Stuff. If you get those things, you'll be happy. If the power goes out, you'll be the one guy in the neighborhood. My 2 latest books, Then What, Codex. Get the print versions available on Amazon. And get my gear, get my shirts, hats, and all that kind of stuff. They're not that expensive, and it's a good way to communicate all these ideas to people. Take care of yourself. Take it easy, all right? I guess that's the best way to say it. Take it easy. Ignore the media, all right? Live life. It's a struggle, but come on, you gotta just live your life. Take care.